Physical limitations, I'm not a real fan of physical limitations. Now, I know that there's a popular trend right now in saying that, that if you have a particular shape of a bone or a particular length of an arm or this sort of thing, then you can never do this series of asanas. Um, you know, Someone recently, was saying to my husband, "Oh, it's interesting that because of the position of your pelvis in relation to the rib cage, that would indicate that you can't do deep back bends." I have a friend who has the same position of the pelvis into the rib cage, meaning they're very close together. The torso is very short, and she has very, very deep back bends. And what I've experienced as a teacher is that anyone with one physical limitation that they have said, "Now I never do this because of this physical limitation," somewhere in the world, there's someone with that same physical limitation that's figured out a way to make it work. Maybe it's not the deepest version of the posture, but somehow it's working. Number one physical limitation that's presented by students in the practice is my arms are too short. Right? People say this all the time. My arms are too short. I cannot lift my butt off the ground because my arms are too short. Right? And so it goes on and on. And then there are people with very, very short arms who somehow pick it up and then they jump back. They take it up, they take handstand, they do all of the arm balances. How? Because they've found a way to gain the length that they don't have in the arms somewhere in the body. I don't have very, very long arms, but they are a fine length. But even I thought my arms are too short, And then whatever shape you have, if you say to yourself, "I am the wrong shape for this," then essentially you gave yourself a pass. You said, "Oh," then you stop trying. Then instead of trying, you say, "Here's my excuse." So every time you come to the practice, this is my excuse. And then you start to believe in the world of excuses rather than the world of possibility. So suspend your disbelief for a moment and just see. Just ask yourself, how could I make this work? So instead of believing limitation, even if it's a doctor that's presented it to you, even if it's a scientist that said, this you will never do because of this. How many scientists told the person who broke the 4-minute mile, who ran under a 4-minute mile, there was all this scientific evidence that said this will never be done because, and there were all these sort of graphs, charts of the rate of energy production in the mitochondria of the cell in the bodies and how blood is distributed based on the cardiovascular system. And it went on and on and on. And there was one guy who said, I think I could do it. And he did it. And after he did it, everyone did it. And then, 20 years later, we have Usain Bolt, who's like, who knows how fast he's running a mile now. So whatever limitation that you think your body presents itself, whether it's practice coming up as a posture you can't do, or whether it's something like you want to run a marathon and someone tells you'll never be able to do that. Ask yourself, how can I do that? How can I suspend disbelief long enough just to see? Just to experience. And in that space, something will change. Maybe you never run the fastest marathon. Maybe you're not going to be, marathon champion of the world. But if you want to do that and you set your mind to it, then slowly, you'll work towards your goal.